Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the video. So in first part we went through purely on the financial basis to help you decide whether to buy or rent. But the reality is that buying versus renting is not just a financial game. It involves a lot many aspects and feelings and emotions that you feel, which just cannot be covered in the financial aspect. So ensure to stick around and see all the aspects that I have listed down and all the aspects that you can think of to help you take the decision of buying versus renting in a much more comprehensive manner. So with that, ensure to go check out the Telegram channel wherein previous videos, Excel file that we worked on has been put in the Telegram channel, and join that community and help build that community. Ensure to like the video. So now that you have gone through the Excel file and the financial workings, now we will look at what are the other factors that you have to consider in addition to the financial aspects. So over here we will just quickly run down through various aspects that you will have to consider. So first we will start with the topics that are quantifiable and can be linked to the financial data. So first is the earning capacity. First of all, it has to be made sure that to buy a house, in most cases you will already need a huge sum of money as down payment. In most cases 20-25% of down payment that you will require will run it down itself in lakhs. So if you do not have this much of money readily available to make a down payment, then most often than not, even if you feel like buying a house, you might have to end up renting. So in this place, when you are renting, you have to be mindful and decide how you want to save up for the future. And if you wish to buy a house in future, how do you want to invest that in short and medium term fund, so that your money keeps on growing as well as it keeps a safety net and there is not too much volatility, so that your investment suddenly falls down by 20-40% like it happened in 2020. So once you have enough money to make a down payment to buy a house, only then does it make sense to run through these financial numbers. If not, then this does help in way of thinking for the future and how much you want to save up, so that you can at least make a down payment, if not buy the whole house upright. And second thing to note over here is that, let's say you wanted to buy a house worth 50 lakh rupees in the example that we went through. In the same example, if you already had 50 lakh rupees of cash already with you, then it's up to you to decide which gives you the higher rate of return. Then this complex model can be set aside for few time, and you can just look at two key aspects: the expectation of the growth of the house that you are thinking of buying, and then second, the expectation of growth in the investment that you made, be it in index fund, stock market or mutual fund. So the next factor to consider is your income. So if you are a salaried employee and have a stable income, then banks can agree and will think of giving you the money, assuming you have a good credit score and a good amount of down payment to make and all the documents are clear. And if you are self-employed or having own business without a long track record, then many banks will not offer you to lend the money. So most banks will at least ask you for 3 to 5 years of data if you are having your own business or are self-employed, because they also want to ensure that the money that they are lending is in safe hands and they do not want to take huge risk. And then the next topic that you will have to consider is the inflation rate. Inflation is nothing but a very simple topic where you would have heard your parents or your grandparents say that in their childhood they were doing the whole month's grocery for less than 100 rupees for a whole family. And now if you go to shopping, then you will easily blow 5 to 10,000 rupees within a jiffy. So that is inflation in very simple terms. Inflation is nothing but the increase of prices gradually over time. So because of this, your money power also decreases. So in this example, the way you will have to link it is, if you are taking a fixed term loan of let's say 50 lakh rupees, then around 30-35,000 rupees per month that you will end up paying as EMI, you will feel the pinch of it lesser and lesser as you go further. That is 35,000 every month in first year might look a lot, but by the year 10 there is a great possibility or great chance, again there is no surety, that your income might have doubled, tripled or maybe grown several times. In that case, your EMI still remains at around 35,000 and this will be a lot lower. But on the other hand, if you are renting, the rent keeps on increasing year by year over and above inflation generally in a growing city. And then another key aspect is your expectation of growth of your fund in terms of house value or in terms of investment that you have made in mutual fund, equities, index fund or any other investment vehicle that you are considering. And now we will delve little deeper into the softer aspects which most YouTubers or many financial gurus will not teach you. So that is the psychological aspect and the motivation and the feeling that you get. It is not irreplaceable and it is something that you will have to consider and value. Drop a like. So first is the happiness and feeling that you get when you have your own house. Most of them get a sense of pride and a sense of comfort when they come to know that they have their own house. The roof overhead belongs to them and no one can take that away from them easily. And it is also ingrained and developed in our mind as a human that this ownership of land or house, something physical and tangible, makes us happy, gives us a feeling of belongingness, something which is acceptable by the society. Like the video. So second point when we are talking about tangibleness and the physical feature of a house is that the investment that you would have made in any financial instruments would not give you that sense of physical ownership. So it will not be possible for you to see physically what these financial instruments are. If you own index funds, stocks, bonds or FDs for that matter, which ideally you should not after a certain point in time, is nothing but a piece of paper or a number on your screen. But on the other hand, the house that you are having is tangible and something that you can feel and occupy space. So the natural tendency of humans to see, touch, smell, live in is a feeling that cannot be replaced with anything else. So house helps you, that is especially your own house, helps you to satisfy that feeling. And then the third aspect is when you feel like settling down in your life, be it in terms of raising a family or starting a family, or for that matter you yourself want to feel settled down and want to have your own house and have physical assets, then house helps you a lot. So you will need not have to worry a lot if landlord will tell you to vacate the house next month or if rent is going to increase quite a lot next year. And the fourth point that is in connection to this is the freedom on property. If you own a house, you have freedom to do minor modifications within the structure of law and regulations, and you can paint your house the way you want it, make small alterations, bring in new appliances, etc., so that you need not have to worry or think twice what the landlord or what someone else will say. Or your own kid, if they start doing paintings and drawings on your walls, then you are not answerable to anyone and you can enjoy and cherish that phase of life. And while renting, most likely than not, you are bound by certain rules and regulations that has been laid out by the agreement and the mutual understanding that you have had with the owner and the tenant. And even though you might have the best landlord or the owner, there will still be a point of conflict or a topic of conflict which can arise at any point, even though you might have the best relationships because of various reasons. And then when we are talking about this, we cannot ignore the fact, the advantages or positiveness that renting gives you over buying a house. One is the freedom. You will have the freedom to move around, to upgrade or downgrade your lifestyle as soon as possible. In case you own a house, it is usually not possible to quickly upgrade or downgrade your lifestyle because you are bound or tied to that financial decision that you have made. Let's say you are paying an EMI. During that time, even though theoretically it might seem possible, it is very difficult to quickly change your house, especially when you have started feeling settled down. So this will lead in two situations. One is renter will have the freedom and flexibility to move and to change their lifestyle as quickly as possible, and in most cases within a 1 month notice. And second is, if you're in that point of your career or life where you're seeking change or growth, it becomes very easy if you're a renter to switch your jobs or to change the location. Let's say you're in Mumbai and you're renting and now you feel that you want to move to Bangalore so that your career can grow much further. This is the tech hub and you think that by moving over here, your lifestyle and the way of your life and your career growth can increase quite a lot. Then by being a renter, it's very easy to change the location, at least in terms of having your own house. But if you're an owner, it becomes very difficult to make this switch. For that example, think of the people that you were thinking. Even in the same locality that you are staying, they might have thought twice before changing the job just because of the location. They might have gotten a much better offer, which is much farther than their house or in a completely different city. Then it becomes very difficult for people who have their own house to make this switch because of changing their house, A, and then second is moving the whole family. It almost feels like uprooting the life you have built. And that too, especially when you already have your own house and have built the surrounding in such a way that you have gotten accustomed to that and are in the comfort zone, it becomes very difficult in most cases to make that change, even though it might be beneficial for you in the long run. And the next aspect that you will have to consider while taking this decision is the hassle that you will face in case of buying versus renting. In case you are buying, the hassle that you will face is the constant maintenance that you will have to incur whether or not the house is old or new. If the house is old, then this possibility of occurrence of damages, maintenance and breakdowns will be lot higher. But in case of renting, usually the headache of maintenance or the problem of maintaining the physical structure is not on you. Your landlord is a phone call away and it's their headache to make that changes. But in the same way, the hassle that the renters have will be the constant shifting that they will have to do. Usually renters shift their house in between 2 or 3 years, and every time you do this, it's a huge task to pack and unpack and set your house again. Another important point that you will have to consider is the tax aspect, especially income tax. Income tax has various provisions that helps both buyers and renters in some form or the other. You as an individual, how you can make the most out of it, and depending on each and every situation, it might differ. I suggest you to contact your CA to get the best guidance. And while talking about this, another important point that many of them forget is the financial discipline it builds. Whether you like it or not, you might have seen many of them in your circle, or you yourself might be someone who might be missing that financial discipline, wherein let's say in month 1 you thought you will invest X amount of money, but you might have continued that for let's say 1 month or 2 months. After that you might have broken that chain by stating some form or the other where there was actually no emergency, but you just broke that just because there was no discipline in yourself, financial discipline at least. But if you are owning a house, it's a burden of paying the EMI for the term of the loan, but it also builds a discipline. That is, each and every month that you are paying pays down your principal amount. So the part value of the own that you have taken loan on starts becoming a part and parcel of your financial net worth. And while talking about this, I want to cover 2 more aspects. One is, let's say you lost your job. If you are renting, it is very much possible that you can quickly switch the place you are living and move to a place where you can have affordable rent at least for some time. But in case you own a house and are paying EMI, bank will not listen to you. Some exceptions are like the COVID-19 2020 year, wherein the central banks of many countries including India had given a moratorium and had asked bank to allow people to not pay the EMI without affecting adversely for that duration. If the job loss or loss of pay is prolonged, then the effect becomes much more difficult for you to bear, because you still have to pay your EMI as well as incur expenses which are recurring each and every month. I want to make a key highlight of the point over here, where smart investors or people who take decisions a little more cautious way, or rather in a much more structured way, they can change this game altogether and make the best out of both worlds. So few topics over here I would like to talk briefly are house hacking. This is a concept wherein the house that you own can be rented out in a part. So let's say you bought a 2 BHK house, or you bought a building which had let's say 3 or 4 houses, and you live in one of the house that is a part of that building and rent out the portion of it to someone else, which will help you to cover a portion of the EMI that you are paying at least. So in this case you are getting the best of both worlds, wherein you have physical asset that you are having, plus the rent that you are getting from the portion of the building or the house will help you in paying the EMI and will reduce the financial burden. And similarly, there are other set of people who are very smart in making stock market decision or investing in financial instruments, who are able to churn out a higher return on their investment. So in most cases, if you invest in real estate, it's the general tendency of increase in value that happens in that market is what impacts you. Maybe few percent more or less is what you can change, not more, not less. But if you are investing in stock market or in mutual funds and are picking these financial instruments like stocks, bonds, mutual fund, etc. in a much more smart way, and the way that you know of, and which can help you generate excessive return over and above the standard market return, and you're confident that this can be done over a long period of time, and along with that you should have the financial and mental peace and clarity that the decision that you're taking is right, and you're okay to not own a house And in such cases, there have been people who have been able to rent for their whole life and still come out at the other end with much more net worth than others who owned the house, because of the smart financial decisions and the investments that they made, which they were able to generate extra return, which is called alpha investing, and were able to cover the whole rent. Is in such a scenario that after a few years, similar to the example that they saw, even though they are withdrawing the amount of money that is required to rent, the investment is generating a return in excess and over that, so that they are able to easily cover the rents and still have excess amount left, which keeps on growing in their investment. So at the end of the day, it's your own decision. So the factors that you will have to consider are first and foremost the financial decision, both having enough money for the down payment as well as the capacity and ability to pay EMI for the whole period that you have taken, or term or tenure that you have taken the loan for. And then the return that you can generate from investing the similar amount somewhere in financial market versus the return that you would have got if you had invested in that house. Second is the feeling and the pride that you get by owning a asset, a physical asset rather, like house, which helps you to own and have sense of feeling comfort and satisfaction, which financial instruments in some cases might not be able to provide you with. And another key aspect that you will have to consider is taxation when you sell and requirement of money. So on the aspect of requirement of money, let's say you want 1 crore rupees after 20 years, but your house value, let's say, increased to 5 crore rupees, and the investment also is around 5 crore rupees. In most cases, if you have your own house and you want 1 crore rupees out of that house, it's not possible for you to sell a part of the house or a portion of that house. You will have to end up selling the whole house, and because of that, your ownership of that house will be gone. Along with that, a huge tax bill will be incurred, wherein you will have to end up paying the tax on the whole amount of the profit that you have gained after the indexation benefit. So all this can be discussed with your CA for much more detailed and clarified manner. So that was the case with house, wherein you will have to end up selling the whole house even for a smaller requirement. But in case of financial instruments, the story is quite different. Out of, let's say, 4 or 5 crore of the value that you had built, you wanted 1 crore rupees out of it. So in that case, you can sell only worth 1 crore rupees, and you will have to pay tax only on the additional profit that you have earned on the investment that you have made, which is now worth 1 crore, and you need not have to sell the whole 4 crore or 5 crore worth of financial instruments that you want. This is an advantage which is unparalleled. And then again, similar to this is something that you can tie up with mobility is if you decide to move out of the country or city. So it's very difficult to continue owning that house or that land, and you might start facing difficulty. But in case of financial instruments, it's little easier to move away and then slowly either liquidate it or continue owning it without much hassle. So the another aspect that you will have to consider is legality and the regulation. In few developing countries like India and few others, the legal structures are not so strong, and the frauds or the possibility of you getting duped on the real estate investment is quite high. There are so many irregular properties that are being developed without enough licenses, regulations, and new projects being popped up which is not following the regulations and which are almost illegal. And there are situations wherein the same property is sold to multiple people. I know this sounds ridiculous, but you might have heard multiple stories like this in cities like Bangalore. But in case of renting, only until you are staying in that house you will pay the rent, and after that you say tata bye bye. You need not have to bear the headache of the legality of that house. So this is another mental freedom that you will get by renting. Ensure to go to Telegram channel and join the discussion group community and discuss about how the decision making is affecting you. Whether buying a house sounds a smarter choice or renting a house. What are the other factors that you are considering? Be it in terms of temporary movement that you have done to a city or a place where you don't think you want to settle, but are rather staying there for a few years to earn some money or for the purpose of career, and then moving back to another city or a place where you feel more at home, as well as the feeling that you get when you own a house versus having a much more higher or a lower bank balance or the worth or financial net worth in terms of investing, as well as the time and money aspect and these resources that will be involved in this decision and how it is making you feel, and what are the experiences that you are getting by using these two resources and taking the decision of buying versus renting a house. I hope you have joined the Telegram channel and building that community. With that, like, share and comment down below, as well as subscribe and turn on the notification to all notifications to receive the updates from this channel and help build this community. I hope that with these two-part videos that have released on buying versus renting, it will help you to decide more comprehensively and a structured manner to think whether buying makes more sense or renting makes more sense. It also changes depending on the point of career or life that you are in, and what are the key aspects or the key things that are more important to you, that is near and dear to you and will affect your life. This also helps you to tie the financial numbers that we went through in the first video with the softer aspects of life like sense of pride, ownership, satisfaction, and then belongingness and acceptability by society.